Hey guys, welcome back to my Marvelous Miniverse. So I've got an encounter planned for my group, and it's going to be a bunch of devils that have been trapped down underneath a volcano. Anyway, so I'm going to make some like hellish-like landscape for them. Since they've been in there for a couple of centuries, I figured they probably redecorated the place. So anyway, I already got a start on it. I realized that my audio wasn't working, so here's what I've gotten. This is just half-inch foam with the grid laid out, textured, black paint Mod Podged, and this is going to be the floor for the room. And then I was working on the, I'm just going to do a big stalagmite there, and there's going to be a prisoner chained to it, so it has to be about that size. And then I'm going to do an altar, because any little hellish landscape needs an altar, right? And I 3D printed a couple of little torture racks. I don't know if you can see them. I'll get better pictures later. So I got to paint those up. And then I've got a couple of tea light candles that I'm going to make little braziers out of. And that should be pretty fun. So anyway, the stalactites, what I'm working on is I've just been carving it. It's just 1-inch thick foam, and I've just been using my little hot wire tool here to just kind of hand carve it out. So I'm going to get back at that. Alright, so I'm going to call that good. And that's what it looks like. Not too bad for just using the little wire thing on it. I am going to texture it though, so I need some aluminum foil. I'll be right back. Alright, so a little ball of aluminum foil, go over it. Alright, so it's looking a little better. I don't know if you can really tell from the camera, but I think it needs a big bloody rune in it. There we go. And that'll be textured in there, and then I can paint it over with red when I'm done. So there's the obelisk. And the big altar, I already cut the little piece out. It's just like 1 inch by 2 inches out of 1-inch foam. And I'm just going to texture just the edges, because I'm going to throw another piece on top, because it's going to look like, or to make it look like a stone slab sitting on top of the larger stone block. Alright, so there you have it. I just went around the edges. I didn't do the top of the bottom. And then for the top slab, I have this left over from my magic mirrors. It's a whole bunch. It's just stone textured with cracks in it. There you go. It's just going to sit on top like that. Pretty simple stuff. I do want to texture the edges of this thing. And I'm just going to hot glue that thing straight to the top. Alright, so there we go. Stone altar. Pretty simple. I am kind of rushing through this because I don't have a lot of time. But alright, so these braziers, these are going to take up a lot of the time. So I am going to use these. That same stonework that I had left over from the magic mirrors. And I'm going to wrap it around this way once I cut it to height. So alright, so it's almost dry, so there we go. I did leave a big seam. Let's see if I can do better on the second one. But now it looks like stone, right? Around the bottom, more or less. I think I'm going to take this to it because it kind of stretched out a little bit. There we go. That's looking better. Looking a little better. I don't know if the camera's picking it up or not, but we'll try. So now for the second one. So there you go, same thing. It's just this one has a big crack in it. I think it'll be okay. I think it's just gonna look like a big crack in the stone. So when I got them done, I'm gonna take that same sheet that has the stone on it and make a little circle. Glue that sucker down. Oh, look, some of the cracks lined up too. I'll make them all line up. See there? I can line some of the cracks up. I'm gonna go ahead and line these ones up too, make some on the bottom there. Alright, so there we go. Now it's starting to look a little bit more broken, or a little bit more like stone. So that's the goal. So I'm going to go ahead and do that same thing to the other one. Okay, so that one's done. And this technique, man, it's been around forever. I've seen a lot of people do it, and I think it actually comes from like old war gamers, like the Warhammer gamers and stuff. So it's stolen, but it's been stolen by everybody. So it's not my technique. We'll just leave it at that. All right, so those two are done. So I need to paint these, and I think I'm going to take these back, these little racks, and use my mini paints on them. So I'm going to set those to the side for now. I'll do that once I get some black paint Mod Podge on these guys and get them drying out. So before I get the Mod Podge out, I'm going to go ahead and clean up this little mess I got going. Alright, I want to clean that up because you know, you don't want little pieces of foam stuck in your paint, right? And while I was over there, I grabbed a couple of pennies because I actually wanted to do this before I started painting. I'm going to go ahead and glue them into the bottom of this and one in the bottom of there. I don't really need to worry about these guys because they're pretty heavy anyway. So the way I do it, I use this same little tool, and it's got this little wire finger on it. Finger? I don't know. Wand? I just use that and melt a little hole in the bottom for the penny. Alright, so there it is. It's just a hole big enough for a penny to go into, and then I hot glue it in there. Same thing with the altar. Okay, so black paint Mod Podge, seal it up, put a base coat on it. I keep my little bucket here full of it. Get these guys first. Alright, so while those dry, I'm going to take my little racks and go paint them up. Alright, so here's the two torture racks that I painted up. They're not the greatest. I didn't take a whole lot of time with them because the models aren't that great. There's not a lot of texture in there or anything. And they definitely, the supports that came with them, you can see that one failed. And this one failed on both sides, the little handles. See? But if I print them again, I'll definitely redo the supports. But anyway, they'll blend in pretty good, I think, in the mix with everything else, especially with the little blood stains on there, a little rust. So now that all the blurring stuff is over with, I'm gonna start painting. I didn't want to I want it to look more like a hellscape, right? So I don't want to do any, I'm not going to do any gray. I think I'm just going to leave it all black from the Mod Podge, and then just use this parchment for, and again, dry brush it, because I think that way it'll stay really dark, and then it'll have some really bright contrast to it. I think that real heavy contrast is going to be it's going to make it look more, I don't know, burned up and hell blasted and old and whatnot. So yeah, I'm just going to use the big brush. Let's see what happens, man. Alright, so now that we got those all painted up, like that's all I'm going to do to them as far as paint goes on the bases. I'm going to do, and I've seen several people do this with these things, I'm going to try to sculpt some fire out of the hot glue. Alright, so I figure, well, when I let that cool down, I can go ahead and start painting some of the blood on there. So, I get a real fine tip brush, just acrylic craft red. And I'm going to do the little rune on here first. Too bad. And of course I'm gonna get a different brush. The altar, of course, is gonna need some blood on it. So there we go. Run down that little crack a little bit. I think it looks pretty good. And I really want to splatter it. That might work. Alright, so I got some water, and I'm just going to put that in that red. It gets kind of liquidy. I kind of want a lot of that on the brush. And then I'm going to try to just flick some of it all over the floor there. Yeah, it's not too bad. See, blood splatters all over the place. It looks pretty good. Alright, so this way you can probably actually see what's going on. So I think the best way to go about this is just squeeze a little bit at a time, kind of tease it up, and just layer it on there. Alright, so I struggled with these for a long time after the camera even quit recording, and I think I got them about to a point where they look almost like fire. I mean, they look kind of goofy right now, but when you turn the thing on, turn the light on underneath, you probably can't see it, it's too bright in here, but it definitely shines pretty good like fire, how I wanted it to. I am going to dry brush over those in a few minutes. But I think the altar here looks a little naked, so I'm going to make some candles for it. So for candles, these toothpicks, and I just snip off the end of them, and I try to do them at different lengths. Alright, so now that I have a bunch of those little things cut up, I just use hot glue and make a little puddle for like the melted wax, and I just stick them down in there. Alright, that's going to look pretty good, I think. Okay, so now that the glue is dry, I'm going to go ahead and start painting the candles, and I'm just going to go with white first. Alright, so I'm going to let that dry before I get into the other colors, and then I'm going to come back to these and I'm going to dry brush the flames a little bit so that it looks like flames when the light's off. So, and since it's illuminated, I think I'm supposed to start, if I'm remembering correctly, I think you're supposed to start with the lightest color first and then work to the darkest, as opposed to like reflections where you work dark to light. Alright, let's see what the light looks like underneath. Oh yeah, it's glowing even better. Like that. I like it a lot. Let me do some orange and red on there too. And I'm just going to go right into orange with the little yellow on there. I think we will be just fine. And I'm going to go straight into red from there. There we go. Candles on the altar. I think that'll just about do it. Alright, so here it is, all finished up. The Devil's Den. I'll show some more close-ups and stuff of it with some characters as usual after this. But thank you guys so much for watching, and if you want to see more stuff like this, go ahead and subscribe, and you can check out the Tabletop Dungeoneers Discord server. I'll leave a link down in the description. And I'll also leave a link for these little torture racks down in the description. And I think that about sums it up. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.